It's whatever's going on in WrestleZone is going on in your ears, your eyes, wherever you are right now. I hope you are safe. We hope your nose is covered, your booger factory is shut down, your mouth hole is and it's limited to whoever needs to be around your mouth hole. Only share your mouth hole with people inside of your mouth hole household. All right. Yeah. Mouth holes. That's my new thing. I am Kev Callum. This is WrestleZone. We're talking people getting in the Royal Rumble. New names. It seems like we may have a new favorite for this year's Royal Rumble. Also, you guys could win the big dog, Roman Reigns. The big dog, baby. Look at him right there. All right. You can win this action figure and this Daniel Bryan action figure. Could this be the WrestleMania main event? You could win these WWE Mattel Elite action figures because you guys listen and watch our podcast. Not everyone does. We have a faithful following. I'm very, very proud of it. I want to let you guys know that we're going to be doing this soon. All right. This week, we're going to post about this. A bunch of people who don't listen to podcasts aren't going to be in the know. So make sure you turn your notifications on if you follow us on Twitter and Facebook. All right. And we'll let you guys know about that. And we'll send those out before the end of the month. Talking Royal Rumble. AEW Too Sweet. That's right. Isn't that supposed to be a WWE thing, like the NWO and D-Generation X, all that good stuff? Well, AEW says no, and they're going to try and put it on a T-shirt. Plus, we'll talk, maybe we'll do a little bit of Royal Rumble trivia. And we're going to do it with our buddy from the This Is Keith Pazel podcast. Let me check my notes here. Yes, it's Keith Pazel. Just want to double check those notes here. Keith, how you doing? You got the AEW belt behind you there.
I'm doing good. Yeah, that's my Baby Yoda doll. My Baby Yoda doll, that's his belt. So I'm renting it right now.
You strapped him? You strapped,
yeah,
strapped
he
Baby
strapped
Yoda?
himself. I brought it in the house and he force grabbed it from me.
Dude, I'm in it. I gotta do the Mandalorian show. That's the show I haven't binged on yet. So
it'll change your life.
I heard it's like the best Star Wars thing ever.
Oh, and especially if you have a woman in the house,
because he's cute. It's like a cute thing. You get to watch Baby Yoda, and then you get to still get your Star Wars fix, right?
Yeah, and they wait to the end of the first episode to reveal them. So they're kind of rolling their eyes like, oh, this is just Star Wars, and then you see Baby Yoda, and they're like, oh my god, we have to watch every episode.
All right, guys, if you're with us, go ahead and sound off on the topics. Get in the stream. Let us know what you guys are thinking is going on here with wrestling. We do have a big question today. I have a big question. I want answers from everyone who's with us live. We're more than a month into this collaboration between All Elite Wrestling and Impact Wrestling, two of the biggest non-WWE televised wrestling shows in the United States, in North America, and maybe even the world. And they're collaborating together in a big, big way. They just did a pay-per-view this past weekend, Hard to Kill. That was well received, but it didn't move the world. It hasn't moved the needle in terms of some metrics. Other metrics have. We'll talk about that. That'll be coming up within the show. Let us know what you think of AEW and Impact working together. Is it working for you? I want to know your fan opinion. Has it made you want to watch Impact more? And I have an opinion on it. I'll share that. But let's get into the latest news you can use. The news that leaves a bruise. The Royal Rumble is just a few weeks away, Keith. I don't care who you are. I don't care how jaded you are, how much you yell about Vince, and you just yell his name. You yell a billionaire's name at the top of your in your TV all the time. I want to know, how you feel about the Royal Rumble right now? Are you pumped for the Royal Rumble? We're 2 weeks out.
I guess I am, just because I think it's an annual excitement. It's the beginning of WrestleMania season. There's usually some sort of surprise, whether it's a Tatanka or a before he was dead, a big boss man would come back. You expect little like gems like that.
That is so sadly depressing the way you just described it.
When you go through those legends, you have to think like, is this person alive before I say the name?
But it's weird because wrestling characters have that like perennial superhero place in your heart. You don't look at them like athletes, you look at them like characters,
So I get excited for that. And then you have legit returns. You don't know if Ronda Rousey's going to come back. It's a good time for surprise, especially now. But I think I'm less excited about it just because for me, the television leading up to it has been so... I think this is the first time in my lifetime that I don't think WWE has a plan for the Royal Rumble yet. And it's 2 weeks away, a week away.
Well, I think plans change, right? And a lot of people say, oh, they're changing their plans so much. They used to have all these plans so long form. But I don't think that everyone's like, how come they don't book stuff like they did in the 90s? I was like, because it's not the 90s anymore. It's not the 90s anymore. You have COVID. You have people get exposed to you. Put them on the shelf, right? So you have that. Are we going to run an arena? We had the news about WrestleMania over the weekend. They're going to have fans of some kind at WrestleMania, and they've all but said it. They say that we're selling tickets and we're going to announce safety protocols. That's all we know. And there's speculation they're going to have a couple thousand fans in a football stadium. So how do they make that work? What big stars are coming back? Who's returning? There's a lot to deal with that I think they never had to deal with before. And you have so many hours of content every single week, and you have to make it all interesting and have it all culminate in one weekend in just a couple of months. And this is the beginning of that. This is the All-Star break. This is the All-Star game. We come out of this, we know where we're going into the playoffs, right? So for me, I'm just like, I get it because people have such high expectations, but I don't think it's all bad. I had this sense of like reasonable positivity coming on last night's Monday Night Raw, because Raw has been some weeks has been a chore. Like some weeks it's just a handful of really good things on it, and then some stuff that just doesn't have to be that long. And that's the worst part about it, is sometimes it's just too long. I think that's Raw's problem. SmackDown's been pretty damn good. NXT's been pretty damn great, but people don't want to give NXT its due because it's going up against AEW. But the past 2 weeks with the news, on Wednesday we had the impeachment in Washington. On Wednesday, the previous week we had the riots. Tomorrow we'll have that. So it kind of muddles everything. For me, the Rumble delivered last year is probably one of the best shows to watch. If you go back and watch that Rumble match, it was great. When Brock got eliminated, the place lost their freaking minds when Drew knocked him out.
Yeah, that was cool.
It made Drew. That match did what it's supposed to do, that you want to see. It crowned somebody. It really set him up. Now, obviously, he didn't get the WrestleMania moment he deserves, but for me, look at the pattern here. WWE hasn't had a bad pay-per-view probably since June, or even an off pay-per-view since half the year. And they're bound to have, one that isn't great. But SummerSlam was pretty damn good. Hell in a Cell was a great show. TLC was a great show. So I could see where the TV week to week may not be that great, but they've been paying it off pretty good on the network recently.
Yeah, and I feel like with the network kind of really kicking in the last few years, as far as how they produce their television and them kind of streamlining it, I feel like their week-to-week television isn't as important to them. So I feel like because they're so global, they feel like if we just put one little storyline out there, people are just kind of aware of it because of how they can access our content. We don't need to hammer them over the head with it. They know Randy Orton's feuding with this person. So then I feel like they can just focus on paying it off on that night and not necessarily having to do a ton of build.
And also, like, the way people consume wrestling, everyone's like looks at ratings and ratings and ratings. I was like, if you look at really, there's only 1.8 million people watched Raw this week. No, like, good 15, 20 million people saw that show online. You know what I mean? And they watched it in clips. My nephew says he only watched Monday Night Raw in clips on YouTube.
Yeah,
and then he would watch SmackDown because that's worked for him as a kid. So like everyone thinks they have an idea of it. It's like it doesn't work the way it did 20 years ago.
No, and I think they need to start considering some of those online metrics. At least delay it a little bit. Do the first run TV, but then do a total at the end of the week. Like, this is the number with online views.
Well, we don't even have the numbers for yesterday's episode because of MLK Day. The holiday will push it back, so we'll likely have those by Wednesday. So sometimes on a Tuesday show, people always want to know, did Raw get its ass kicked by something? But, all that stuff. Let's get into the Rumble. It is on the 31st. We will have a men and women's Rumble as we've had the past few years. I do like the women's Rumble. I'm excited now because you get more betting. The Rumble is the fun match to bet on. I've been at some Royal Rumble parties with you, Keith.
Yeah.
And we've had a fun time betting on Rumbles.
Good time. It's been the better quality Rumble, I feel like, for the last few years, too.
I enjoyed the men's more than the women's, but the previous year, I think maybe it was the second one. This is going to be the fourth, I think, maybe?
Yeah.
Women's Rumble?
Yeah, that flies.
Yeah, the first two were really good.
The Rousey one. Yeah.
All right, so let's get. We're talking about the women. Who are the confirmed superstars for the women's Royal Rumble this year? Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, Peyton Royce. But last night, a big name added to the list. She was very, very featured heavily on Monday Night Raw. Oh, my alarms are going off. Alexa Bliss is going to the Royal Rumble. What do you think, Alexa Bliss going to the Royal Rumble? I have to do this with my alarm where I have to shake it.
I like Alexa Bliss, but I don't like this Fiend thing they're doing. I think what they're building to is having her do the no sell thing. They're gonna make her invincible. Your phone's going wild. Your phone's running wild. I guess I like it just because I'm a fan of Alexa Bliss, so I like when she gets stuff to do, and she's doing her best with the storyline. But I don't know. I just feel like they're gonna have her run in there and no sell a bunch of people that are 3 foot taller than her, and it's gonna look awkward. And
Well, we're going that route last night. And she's now been cast under the spell of the Fiend, right? And she has the glove.
And I think they might be doing this thing where she is the Fiend.
Yeah, I think that there's something I'll say this. What they're doing with the Fiend is the most captivating thing for casual wrestling fans. And for the hardcore internet people, I think you constantly have to tell yourself that. I've told people that Alexa Bliss is probably one of the 5 most over people in WWE in terms of who people care about, who people talk about, who they want to see something interesting with. So, and when they started to feature more on Monday Night Raw, I was like, they're featuring her a lot, but she's not wrestling. This is worth noting. She wrestled last night against Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, beat her in the main event, right? And had a bunch of different aesthetic things that they do with the Fiend. The Fiend's not there. He got burned at the pay-per-view. She's like carrying on his weird, creepy mantle to burn Randy Orton's face and set up the rematch for them. So she's keeping that storyline going. But now they take that momentum and use it for her. You're not in the idea of a no-sell kind of like monster person, but her, this like weird Harvey Quinn meets Lady Demon Undertaker thing. I could see that anime crowd eating this up. I could see a lot of people who already her liking this evolution of her. I think it's interesting that they can evolve the character. She's also one of the best actresses in WWE. She's doing very nuanced things. But there's some things that are overwritten. There's a segment she did last night with Asuka that was a little bit too long. But I enjoyed the match. It wasn't a great match, but I enjoyed what they did with her character.
Yeah, and I think
if she wins the Royal Rumble, I'm on board. If they make her Lady Fiend and they really amp it up and they do some other extra things with her, they're going to cover up her face. They aren't going to give her a mask.
Yeah, that would be cool. I just think they're going overboard with having no fans. Like, a little bit of magic in wrestling is fine, which is something I never thought I'd say. But because there's no fans, they can really get in there and edit and make it look kind of ridiculous, to where I think when there are fans back in the building, they're going to have to start being a little more creative with how they do these Fiend transitions.
Well, they are creative now. You know what I mean? Like, they are creative.
Yeah,
now.
But that's just like they could just stop the show and edit it in. Like, they gave her a commercial break to change clothes the first time, and then when she changed back, that was cool. But when there's fans in the arena and your show's live, you're going to have to do it with the lights blacked out. You're going to have to figure out how to turn her into the Fiend in 10 seconds. And that'd
be interesting here. Tommy V talking about the Women's Rumble here, saying Nia and Baszler will go head to head. They teased a little bit of that on Monday Night Raw. Wasn't super compelling.
They teased a few breakups, and I think that might be just for Rumble stuff, like a few little team breakups, so because those people are going to face off in the Rumble.
I'm always down. I always like those little side storyline things that gets going in the Rumble. They did it with when they went to Mania 21, that's how they really got Michaels and Angle going, is how they interfere with each other, which it's predictable, but it's exciting because you're going to get the big match that maybe they're going to do that one. And then you get the confirmation of, yes, we're going there. We could have some surprises. You mentioned Ronda Rousey. There is no rumblings of Ronda being at the Royal Rumble. There was rumblings of it last year. I'm on the side of, I don't think we see Ronda Rousey at Royal Rumble, but I think we could definitely see her back when fans are in the building. When fans can attend shows and sell tickets, Ronda Rousey can do that for them.
Rhea Ripley's my dark horse for the Women's Rumble.
I think it's a fair bet in terms of surprise entrances that aren't announced just yet. Also, we only have, this isn't like half the field. We still have a lot of spots that are going to be opened up here. So it's going to leave you, and you're going to see people on TV that you already know are going to be there. Natalia will be in this, some people you haven't seen in a long time. I could see a Naomi. We haven't seen her on television in months. She's been dealing with some different surgeries and things like that. I think we could see her in the match. But I don't see Ronda in there. I know Ronda debuted at it. It was cool when she debuted at it. It would be cool if she returned at it. That would be fun. But if I'm wrong, I don't mind being wrong either. I think Ronda could be a real shot in the arm for the women if she came back and you put her on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, yeah. And especially, I would wait for fans, though, because she's done a good job of kind of pulling the wool over people's eyes and talking shit about the business on Twitter. So
Dude,
I
she's a
can't
better
wait.
heel than people gave her, man.
Yep, her and Pat McAfee are the best
Yeah.
heels in wrestling.
Oh man, don't even get me started on Pat McAfee. I think we're gonna see Pat McAfee at a Rumble or a Mania in the future.
Yeah, because they fired him.
Fired him. He's still in, dude. He's still in doing stuff. I love Pat McAfee. I think he did such a great job with NXT this year, and the things he did, the 2 matches he did are the 2 best wrestling matches of the year. Think about that. Think about that. This guy walked in as a kicker. All right, I'm not taking anything from kickers. It's probably the only thing I could do in football if I was playing it.
Yeah,
and had maybe one of the best debuts in wrestling history of all time.
Didn't
hurt that he was with Adam
as
Cole,
they say.
right?
As they say, he got his stuff in.
Yeah. I'll say this. Pat McAfee is a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. What do you think when I say that?
That would be awesome. Like, and that's where I think that's cool. That's good for WWE, but I think they also need to kind of look at themselves when a YouTuber is what I'm excited about is for a surprise entrant in the Rumble and not a wrestler.
He's a little bit more than just a YouTuber. I'm not saying he's endorsing video games.
Yeah, because he's associated with NXT.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd be very excited for Pat McAfee. Maybe I'm excited for what's going to be the payoff for Roman Reigns, because that's what I'm most invested in, is who's going to be the one to topple Roman at WrestleMania.
We'll get there. Let's get into the list of confirmed names for the men's Royal Rumble as it stands here currently. Bobby Lashley, the United States champion. Daniel Bryan, who is still in many people considered a favorite, though he has been on a 2-week losing streak. AJ Styles, who was successful last night over Ricochet. Ricochet has not gotten into the match. He had to win to get in there. Randy Orton, even though his face is burned, is still set to be in the Rumble, and he's still maybe going to have to deal with the Fiend at some point. Otis is going to be in there. The Miz is in the Royal Rumble, but he still holds the Money in the Bank briefcase. Jey Uso, Cesaro, and Jeff Hardy. Plenty of big names there. All of them are pretty big. Obviously, some fans think this is a time frame that would lend itself to Edge coming back. He returned at last year's Royal Rumble, had a match that some people was met with mixed reviews at WrestleMania. I thought it was great, but had maybe the best match of the year at Backlash against Randy Orton, though he came out of that with a bicep injury. He's on a limited contract. You're only going to see him wrestle a handful of times a year. I think a Royal Rumble return for him 2 years in a row. This would be his 3rd time returning from injury at the Royal Rumble. Maybe a little bit long in the tooth. Do you think there's a more interesting way to have him come back instead of just showing up at the Rumble again?
Maybe do a shot at the end of, maybe if someone like Orton does win the Royal Rumble, you have him pop up during the celebration and kind of have him challenge in the intermediate between WrestleMania.
I can see that. And then have him be in a big grudge feud or something at Mania.
But outside of that, I think it's kind of, if you're expecting it that much, then don't do it. That's usually my play. Like, if they're talking about it that much, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Bob Coaster in Pittsburgh, PA, texted and said, "Big coup." Anyway, Randy Orton doesn't win the Royal Rumble. Well, Bob, you're saying it like he's going to win the Royal Rumble. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think he wins the Royal Rumble. I think he's going to be there with his weird race car driver crawling out of a fiery car wreck mask that he has on, looking like Mr. Wrestling 2. Yeah, I think he has to deal with the Fiend or Edge at WrestleMania. That's kind of where it's going. Or maybe he deals with both. So we'll see how that follows here. I don't see him winning the Royal Rumble. He doesn't need it. Somebody else needs it. Somebody who's never won it before, I think, will win the Royal Rumble for the men. And that's the way I see those things going here. Angel Garcia, big friend of the show, saying, give it to RVD. Well, Rob Van Dam, I can tell you, is not under contract with anyone at the moment. We've gotten open word directly from Rob a few months ago that he finished his commitments with Impact Wrestling. He did it on good terms. And is he a free agent to return? Yeah. And since he left WWE full time in 2007, I want to say, he's come back and done the Rumble at least once or twice, I want to say. And he's done different appearances from them and one-offs. I think I lost Keith there. Hopefully Keith will.
I'm coming back. You
can hear me, Keith? You can hear me. All right. Your screen went blank. I can't see you, but there you are.
It's the camera.
You gotta move the cursor. It turns off, right?
I'm trying to. There's a setting where I could turn it off, and I thought I did it, but I didn't.
I don't mind jumping in this here. So people giving us their big surprise entrances. Other people agreeing with me. The Pat McAfee one would be crazy. Let's get this one out of the way. It comes up all the time. Is CM Punk going to show up at the Royal Rumble? Keith, it's not going to happen, right?
No, not with WWE especially. I just think they're too petty with the smack he talks. I think Punk is more likely to appear in AEW than WWE.
I think he is too, but I wouldn't put it out there. You know, I wouldn't say no. Crazier things have happened with WWE. I'm just saying in general with the business. I think people look at what the business is. I'm talking about signing for things now. It's completely different business than it was probably even when CM Punk left it in 2014. He's never ruled it out. There's no indications that he's training. There's no indications of that. And people, and because I'm in Chicago and people follow wrestling, they ask me like, I know. I'm like, no, no, I don't. It's because I'm in the third largest city of America doesn't mean I know what he's doing. Here's the thing. I do think he could come back to WWE, and there's some very specific circumstances. And everyone would call him a hypocrite, but they would still freak out when it happened. You know what I mean? And you want to talk about breaking the internet. You want to talk about a guy who can move the needle. It would be him. But I'll tell you, until it happens, it isn't happening. Yeah, and also I think he's a guy. We saw this with the FS1 deal when he showed up on the backstage show and he came back, and that was a deal with Fox. It wasn't a deal with WWE.
Yeah.
That was big for that show. Now, mind you, that show didn't last long for a lot of different reasons. He wasn't on it every week and all these different things. But if he showed up at the Rumble, it would be a massive thing for WWE. It would be a really, really big, really big kick in the ass going into WrestleMania season. I think if they did it.
I would watch consistently if it happened. It would get me back.
I don't think it's going to happen. You know, and if he came back, is he going to do the things he wants to do? Is he going to have the freedom creatively that he wants to have? He's definitely a guy who's not going to come back if you don't pitch him the right match and the right type of story and do the right type of business. He's a very particular guy, and I don't mean that in a bad way. And he wants to do things in a very particular way, and WWE does too. And obviously, they've gone to very different lengths to express that in each other in court and beyond.
Yeah,
I think because of that trial, is a very distinct chance you won't see him wrestle in WWE again. But I wouldn't put it out there. You know, Ultimate Warrior said very nasty things about WWE. They went to court, and it's happened with Nash and WCW and all those different things. So many other people mend that fence. It could happen, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. Punk's a guy I think that if he does come back, he'd only want to do it when fans are back. So let's talk about this in like Royal Rumble 22 next year, not even this year. I think we'd have a better shot then. But who cares? Like I said, if I'm wrong, I don't mind being wrong. You guys can all come back to the show and say, Kev, you were wrong. You were so wrong about that. So Royal Rumble, we're doing that fun thing where we predict who's going to show up at it, who's going to be back at it. So we'll get to that. Do you want to do some Royal Rumble trivia before I'm done with you today?
Sure. I'll let you pick
the category. I have 4 categories.
Go for it.
And you get to pick, you'll be able to pick one. We'll do that in our next segment here. If you guys are with us, hit that like button. All right. I know you're watching. Go ahead and hit the like button. It helps us defeat the greatest enemy on the internet. Keith, you know this enemy. It is the algorithms. They're the toughest tag team.
We're all in battle.
The algorithms of, hey, remember all the people that used to look at your Facebook that don't see it anymore? Do you want to pay for them to see your Facebook? Yeah. I probably just got watch. We just lost all of our viewers because I said pay for something on Facebook.
Smash the like, bruv.
smash like and subscribe. All that good stuff. Let's talk about this story. AEW. They have trademarked for merchandising purposes the term Too Sweet. This is an evolution of what they're doing with the business. How do you feel about this? Did we talk about this already today?
No, I think you mentioned it up top, but as like
I mentioned it up top in the tease. So let's get into it here. I have my notes in front of me on a different tab. So they did the Too Sweet thing. They had the surprise return, this in continuing collaboration between Impact Wrestling, where one half of that original Bullet Club group is now they're over here. They show up. Carl Anderson, Big Luke Gallows. They're there with Kenny Omega. They're the Impact Tag Team Champions. They're in the ring with Kenny. They lay out Jon Moxley. The Young Bucks come out and say, what are you doing? You beat up Jon Moxley? Come on, we're supposed to be friends. And they all Too Sweet each other. It looks like we're going to have some deviation of these guys as a group. They're not actually going to be a group. That was just a moment they did. But WWE is going to be a little bit pissed because apparently they have trademarked the term Too sweet. I don't know if WWE is going to be pissed. I hear people saying on the internet. I really don't know if they are. We don't know the legal situation. So many people just say, "Oh, Vince is mad." Yeah, whatever. I don't even think he knows about this. So who cares? Well, if he does, he does. Yeah. So they're going to put this on pants and sweatshirts and socks and all that good stuff, and it's to move some merchandise here, man. What do you think of this? It's a pretty bold move by AEW.
It is a bold move, and I'm kind of shocked that they didn't still have it, because I would have thought that that's something that would have came over with WCW as far as a trademark, but they've probably let stuff lapse that he just isn't aware of.
Because it's a very specific thing, just the term "too sweet."
Yeah,
can you actually do that? Did it lapse? Some of those trademarks lapse, and then somebody takes over them and runs with them and different things like that. And it is specifically for merchandise, but they do note that arranging and conducting competitions in the field of wrestling. So are they going to bill this team as Too Sweet? Are they going to say it's a Too Sweet match? Are they going to use an event and call it Too Sweet?
Right.
It's a little bit open-ended for what they can do this. And they definitely seems like there is terminology in this where they do want to, namely, providing ongoing television programs in the field of wrestling via global computer network. So there's a possibility of them trying to do a pay-per-view with it and different things like that. There's a lot of legal wording you could read into this statement. We have it up at WrestleZone.com right now if you want to read it. I'm of the thought they're going to go as far as they can until they get told not to do it legally.
Yeah, and I just think it's smart for them because the whole Impact AEW thing was met with such mixed and polarizing reactions that I think it's smart of them to incorporate little niche stuff to get people, because I don't think people are as excited about watching Impact as they are with Too Sweet, Bullet Club. Like it's just the little components of it where I think people could, give or take the Impact Wrestling show. But if you're going to wear shirts that say Too Sweet on it, I'll watch.
I'll watch. But I mean, is it going to be, is it a short-term nostalgia trip as wrestling loves to do? People want to go at WWE and say they always bring back the old names. Is this them doing the short-term nostalgia trip, and is it working? We teased it, but I want to get into it. We're over a month and a half into Kenny Omega showing up every other week on Impact Wrestling on Access TV, a much smaller network than AEW has with TNT. AEW clearly is the number 2 company in the United States, if not the world. If you want to say New Japan's there, maybe they're definitely there in terms of doing live events, right?
Yeah.
But AEW wants to compete and really change the game. You had Tony Khan saying the balance of power will shift. They've gotten over 1 million viewers since they said that statement and set out this goal for big new things. And you have Kenny as the new champion at the beginning of December. You have Sting come in. They're doing all these different things. And now we're going to collaborate with Impact. I saw Impact get a big little boost from this, but they're not cracking 300,000 viewers. They're not, they've gotten a little bit of a bump. They trended one night on Twitter #1, but has this thing cooled off quick? We had Hard to Kill this past Saturday on pay-per-view. It was a great show. And Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers beat the Impact World Champion, Rich Swann, Moose, all right, who did a Spanish fly off the top rope. All right, come on. Show me 7-year NFL veterans who are doing Spanish flies off the top rope.
Wild.
People crap on Moose, but he was a replacement. He delivered. Chris Sabin busting his ass in that match as well. But I mean, Impact got beat in this match. It was a great show. If you're an AEW fan, you're watching it for the first time. I can see some other people just being AEW loyalists, and they don't get the bump from this. I don't know if this has exactly worked. There's some fun things from it, but I can't say it's a hit, right?
I don't think it has either. I think it was a risky move. I think it kind of, in my opinion, I think it's kind of an egotistical move on Tony Khan's part, because part of me thinks he thinks AEW is so great that, like, I'll make Impact popular. Like, look how, like, come jump on my train and we'll get you some viewers. And I don't know. I just think there's too many bad things that can happen in this for it to have been a viable move for me. But there's little interesting things. As long as they don't go too hardcore with it, I'm fine. Like, I don't want this to be an NWO thing. I would not want to see, like, Impact every week on AEW television. But yeah, I don't think hasn't worked for me so far.
It hasn't been bad. I can't say it's bad, but it hasn't been great. You know what I mean? The match at Hard to Kill was fantastic. There was other matches on the show that were better. There were other matches on the show that were better. I mean, I thought Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards beat the snot out of each other in this barbed wire match. That was nuts. I thought Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan winning the Knockouts championships was a great match. It was a good match. fun story. Kenny wins, you know.
Yeah, their women's division is great. I was really excited. I'm disappointed that we haven't gotten that there haven't been knockouts come in to face Shida. You haven't seen a Jordan Grace.
I'm like, all right, here's the trade. Like, we need this. What do you have that we don't have? All right, give us a little bit of that, you know. But are we seeing that? Is that something they want to do, or is it just limited where it's just, no, we just want the Bullet Club thing. We want to be able to let Kenny and the Bucks do a match like that. And what it's building to is some form or another, just based off last week's Dynamite. Kenny Omega alluded to having the Bucks come out to him with him for a 6-man match where they would be his other 2 partners. And Anderson and Gallows from Impact surprised, and they swooped in and came in as his partners, and they felt miffed. So maybe at whatever the Beach Blast is in a few weeks, it's going to be like a pay-per-view on TV. People think it's going in that direction. They haven't announced it yet. Could be announced this week on Dynamite. Where do you see this playing out, and could it turn around and actually become really compelling? I think a match where you have the Bucks and Moxley versus Kenny and Anderson and Gallows, that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a Bucks face turn again, which is weird because they just turned heel, but I also wouldn't be against it. But that would definitely be cool to see a Moxley Bucks versus Kenny Omega and whoever. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, some people not happy about saying Bullet Club things, doing Bullet Club things.
Tonga, yeah.
Without being in the Bullet Club. Shout out to Ross Berman of WrestleZone. I have to state this. He is the co-host of Tama's Island, Tama Tonga of New Japan Pro Wrestling, who is in the Bullet Club. That term is owned by New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you have these former members of the Bullet Club in a different promotion on a different continent on a different TV channel saying and doing Bullet Club things. Then you have the real OG of all things that were the Click in the 90s, the NWO and D-Generation X. They were on 2 big channels, right, in the middle of the Monday Wars. That was their thing. And then I've had other people say, well, the Too Sweet thing isn't even yours. That's from gang culture. That's from West Coast gang culture in the 80s and 90s. So
yeah, plus
who owns what? You know, who owns
Kevin
what?
Nash had given credit. I remember Kevin Nash saying they're the new NWO. They could do Too Sweet. So
true. And then I think he commented on some of the Bucks posted recently of a new T-shirt saying, "When do I get my check?" So,
yeah, that's funny.
Ayo, when do I get my check? God, all gonna get in there as well. He wants his payday as well. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. People just popping each other on the internet for sure. So is this collaboration going to continue? Now, a lot of people noting this. Michael texting and saying, Rebellion, this is the next big advertised Impact pay-per-view coming up in April. Pretty busy month in April to run a pay-per-view. They're going to be coming a couple weeks off WrestleMania there. The logo has an Omega symbol in it. And it will be AEW versus TNA pay-per-view. That hasn't been stated, Michael. That hasn't been said. I've heard a lot of people theorize that, but theories are just theories. They're not facts. It has to be stated. We don't know just yet. Nothing confirmed there as well.
Part of me feels like, though, Kevin, if Omega pins their champion, he has to win that belt now, right?
I would think. I mean, I would think that Rich Swann would be able to get his win back. But Impact in a position politically where they can go to, Kenny Omega and say, "Hey, can our guy pin your guy?" How does that work? How do you even begin to have that conversation?
He would have to drop if you do that, you have Kenny win the TNA title, and then you have at the fall of it, you have Kenny lose the AEW title, and then have Rich Swann come back and get his win back. But you can't have Kenny's shoulders be pinned while he has the AEW title.
Yeah, it does seem like they're very protective of him. He is still the AAA Mega Champion south of the border and was featured on their Triple Mania show and won there. And people thought maybe just because he's the AEW champ that he would drop the title. Does not seem the case. It seems like he is red hot right now. This is the Kenny Omega that people wanted when AEW started. They kind of held off on it, and this is the direction they're going. But is this Impact stuff really moving the needle? I don't know. I think AEW in general is a great show. I don't think there's one guy like Kenny that makes it particularly great. And I'm okay with that. WWE is like that to some degree. There isn't one big superstar that drives the show. It's an ensemble cast with a handful of people near the top.
Right.
You want to get into some trivia, dude? How well do you know the Royal Rumble? Do you know all those semantic things?
I'll try. I'm bad with trivia. I have terrible memory. So,
Mhm.
this could be fun just of how embarrassingly wrong I get it.
All right, so I have 4 categories, okay? I have
Yeah.
4 categories, and you'll just pick one category today, and there'll be 5 questions in each category. And basically, to win, you just got to get the best out of 5. That pretty
Okay.
good? You got to get you got to get at least 3 out of 5 to make it to win. All
All
right.
right.
Here are your categories: elimination, domination, time to rumble. That one's just about time. By the numbers, it's about specific entrance, and
Okay.
big red rumble machine.
Okay. Let's go elimination domination.
Elimination, domination. We're going to go to this question. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it up there, and we're going to put it on the screen. We're going to go for this one here. All right. And you guys in the chat, don't fire it off. Don't look at the chat. Don't cheat, Keith. Okay.
Oh, I know. All right. I
All
got
right.
you.
We're going to fire this one off here, and we're going to go to 2010. All right. The 2010 Royal Rumble saw Beth Phoenix enter the men's Rumble, eliminate Great Khali. But how did she do it? She did it with a unique maneuver. Do you know what that unique maneuver was?
Oh no. I do remember that. She went wild. She eliminated didn't I know how she I think I know how she got eliminated, but I don't remember how she eliminated Kali. Didn't she like slide underneath him or something like that? Wasn't it a weird like split move and she like racked him or something?
She kissed him. She kissed
Oh,
him and then pulled him over the ropes.
all you gotta do.
If I ever get to interview Beth, I absolutely have to ask what was
Yeah.
the pitch? What was the pitch like when you were told that you're going to make out with this gigantic?
Did you have to practice climbing him like
bottle
a
of
tree?
person?
Yeah.
Making out with him is like saying I'm going to make out with a tree. It's like what is this?
She had to practice walking up him.
All right, you're 0 for 1 here. You're 0 for
Okay,
1. Let's
keep
turn it
going.
around here. All right, we're gonna go to the 2002 Royal Rumble.
Okay.
This is a pretty good Royal Rumble. I remember this one pretty fondly here. All right, and let's see if you can do this. I'm gonna throw that in the chat and see if you can play along. And you guys can play along on your own here. And other people saying by the numbers, clap, clap, clap. They wanted by the numbers, and you already chose elimination domination. Don't worry, we'll do by the numbers tomorrow. Okay. We'll go to the 2002 Royal Rumble. This former Tough Enough competitor turned superstar had a shocking elimination of The Undertaker. Who was it?
Was it Maven?
It was Maven. There you go. Maven had a hell of a drop kick. All right. He had the drop kick. He had a decent smile. He won Tough Enough.
With those Steve Blackman hands.
He was gone. And he was gone. Plenty of people in WWE have a decent drop kick. He had a hell of a drop kick.
Oh yeah.
And I remember Undertaker made him look like $1,000,000, just getting over and being just red hot and so goddamn mad. That was Biker Undertaker.
He was the Byron Saxton of his era, maybe.
Giorgio playing along, shouting off. If you guys are in the chat, just it was not Colonel Buddy Parker. No, Colonel Buddy Parker did not eliminate the Undertaker. Haven't heard that name in a while here. All right, so you are 1 for 1 here. All right, you got to get 2 more to win this. We'll do all 5 just to have fun here.
Okay.
My favorite Royal Rumble is Royal Rumble 1992. Okay, and that is Ric Flair winning, going the distance, and cutting maybe the best promo of all time afterwards.
Yep.
That was with a tear in my eye. I absolutely love that promo.
Night of my life.
The best day when you walk down the street, people look at you like you're number one, and you know you're number one. I love all that stuff. I think it's one of the best performances. Also, one of the best commentary performances. Bobby Heenan on commentary emphasizes Rick nearly being eliminated and just his completely bias, and it's awesome. Go look it up. But that Rumble has some really, really big stars in it. A lot of big names are in that. And I want to know, in the 1992 Royal Rumble, who eliminated the most superstars in this match, which was won by Ric Flair? Who eliminated that? A lot of big names in there. Maybe try and remember who was in there and who was a big superstar that could have eliminated a lot of people in that match.
I am going to go with Bret Hart.
Okay. Is that your final answer? You want to talk this one out? Trump, maybe you want to think of who was in there. You want to lock it in? You want to lock it in?
Let's see. Maybe Sean wasn't there yet. Maybe
1992.
Yeah, Colonel Buddy Parker. Maybe.
You want to play this the right way? Maybe think what was going on with WrestleMania that year.
Okay, Lex Luger.
All right, Lex Luger's your pick. Well, you're a year early, Keith. You should have said Sid Justice. Justice eliminated 6 people in that Royal Rumble that I believe here.
Yeah, that's another.
All right. So Keith, you got one here. You're on the board. You're 1 for 3 here, and we got to turn this thing around here. We're gonna turn this around. Can you do it? You think you can do this?
I think so.
Now this one, it may be the Royal Rumble, but we may have a little bit of a connection for some people here to talk about outside of it. A little bit of a clue. Some people saying they nailed it. Other people saying it was Hakushi. No, Hakushi did not eliminate The Undertaker. Just going for the most obscure people here. Let's go to the 2012 Royal Rumble.
Okay.
He can now be seen in All Elite Wrestling. But in the 2012 Rumble, he had the most eliminations that year with 5. Who is it?
Was it Chris Jericho? Was it Jake Hager? It was Jake Hager. Oh man.
I'm going to count you out. I'm going to count it. All right.
John Moxley.
It's not. You had 3 shots. I gave you 3 shots. You didn't kick out at 3. All right.
I'm trying to think of who it could be. It's not Drew Carey. Drew Carey's not in AEW.
All right. And I'm waiting to see if anyone else got it right in the chat with us live. No one is getting this. I'm surprised. It was Cody Rhodes.
Oh,
Cody Rhodes had the most. The thing is with the eliminations that make this particularly clever, everyone, when they think of who eliminates the most people in a Royal Rumble, they always think, oh, it's like anyone who gets past like 10, or like a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
He eliminated 5 people in that year's Royal Rumble. I attended that Royal Rumble live. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. I believe Awesome Kong was in it. That was actually the last time that Mick Foley got in the ring and wrestled and did anything. That was actually pretty sweet. And had that really cool mini match at the end with Sheamus and Chris Jericho. So I actually really enjoyed that a bit. All right, so Keith, you gotta make this work here. Okay, you can't win the game, but now you're fighting for pride here. All right, and I'm gonna say you came in last minute, did the podcast for me. This is Keith Pazel. All right, drops every Sunday. You can watch it on YouTube if you're watching our show on YouTube. A great hang. I want to talk to you about things that you're gonna hang out and watch and stuff like that too. But you got to now. Come on, Keith. Don't embarrass me now. All right, I'm going to say this. All right,
I'm bad at trivia, but I'm having fun. We're having fun.
I hope Baby Yoda comes in the ring and takes that belt away from me because I don't think.
Garcia said Mox too. I don't feel bad.
It's other people the same wrong answer as me. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm busting your boss, Keith. You guys should thank Keith, by the way. He did step in and do this at the last minute, so that's why I love him. An OG. I knew long-haired Keith going back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I weighed 300 pounds.
Yeah. Here we go. We're going to go to the 2020 Royal Rumble. These 2 female SmackDown superstars had a matching record of 8 eliminations in the 2020 Women's Royal Rumble. Okay? They are SmackDown superstars. They eliminated the same amount of people. So sometimes maybe you don't know that number. But think of who made a real dent in that Royal Rumble. Doesn't mean they always won it. And now connect the piece that they are on SmackDown.
Yeah, I'm running it back. So was it Bayley and Sasha?
One of them is correct.
So because it definitely had to be Bayley. She was on the run. Who's the other one? It's not Southern Belle. What's her name?
Lacey Evans?
Was it Lacey Evans? And
it's not Lacey Evans.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think of the female SmackDown roster right now. Who else? Charlotte? It's not Charlotte. She's on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't
think.
They're
on SmackDown now.
They're on SmackDown now.
Come on, Keith. You're right there, baby. Come on.
I feel like just sitting here. This would be a great podcast. 10 minutes of you going, come on. They'd be like, 10 minutes. Come on, Keith.
You want to get the hot tag from Angel Garcia down in Texas? He's in the chat. He's got a text in here.
Oh, Bianca Belair.
It was Bianca Belair.
I remember. I was gonna say. I was thinking Kiera Hogan because they look similar, but I'm like, she's not even in the company.
I understand what you're saying. I've had other people text me during the chat or during the show and say the same thing, and I was
gonna go hair whip. That's what I was thinking. Hair whip.
Oh yeah. One of these days she's gonna have a hair match and people are gonna lose their minds.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a hair versus hair match with Bianca Belair and people are gonna lose their minds. Yes, the EST. So you went 1 for 5, Keith.
Hey.
How do you feel about this? I'll give you the last one. So you went 2 for 5.
Yeah. Well, I'm embarrassed, but I live with embarrassment every day. Every day. I'm about to
like
go
a real good comedian, like a real comedian.
Comedy in a park, with homeless people. So
isn't that where we are with comedy now, Keith? That's where we are with it. Is we have to go to a park and yell at each other.
I'm so living there with those homeless people. I'll be there.
Tell them about the podcast, man. Where they can get it, when it comes out. What's the deal?
Every Sunday it comes out. It's on the video version on YouTube. All platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We watch TV. We just flip around. We have a list of topics I try and curate to what's on TV. But it's us hanging, riffing on TV. And then KeithPazel.com for everything. It's a one-stop shop for the podcast. It has the audio and video links. So check it out at KeithPazel.com.
Yeah, and definitely check out the album. I was there when he taped this album. It was absolutely hilarious. Rat Tales, that's available on YouTube as well.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's all there. YouTube is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's at the Great Beat Kitchen. Hopefully all those venues open up soon. All that good stuff here. So definitely a good time to consume the content. The thing I like about, I've said this to you before, that I like about this is because we can't be in a room with each other really anymore. If you haven't been around someone for like a week and a half, you really shouldn't be hanging out with them, right? That's the thing now. We're all scared. I've embraced Zoom parties now. I was hesitant on Zoom parties, but now I have caved. This is where we are. Let's power through. And one of the fun things is I started listening to your podcast. It was like you're just sitting in a room with your fun friends, and you could be imbibing in whatever you want to imbibe in.
Yeah.
And you're just riffing and making fun of whatever's on TV.
Yeah.
And it was it reminds me of those random nights when you're a teenager, when you didn't plan anything and you just go out and hang out with your friends. And those are the best nights. And there's some inside joke that starts, and it reminded me of hanging out with comedians in the back of the room and just shooting the shit. And it's really, really funny. And if you've missed funny, humorous contact with other people, it's a great, because it's really organic, but it's still great radio. And Adam Crocious is probably one of the most intellectually intimidating people I've ever met.
If you miss
someone, you want to listen to a conversation, you want to listen to people have another conversation. When you go to a party, Keith, and so you get into a really good conversation with someone, you're like, God damn, that was a great time just hearing those people talk. Yeah. That's what the show is. And they're funny, and they bitch about sports, and they yell about what is. You can see a little bit of what they're watching on TV behind them, but you don't get the copyright thing on YouTube. They don't get you, do you?
No, every now and again, I've had to put up. That's why I have I put up obstructions. I'll put us up. I'll flip I figure out. I've read very much into these copyright laws.
They're not going to get me. They're not going to too sweet me, baby. I'm going to get around it. And also, if you want to listen to the audio, that's available out there as well. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. You guys know the WZ logo that's right up there in the corner, red and black since 1997, baby. We have a whole bunch of stuff up there right now. We just dropped an interview with Madison Rayne, one of the great women's veterans of the sport. She just announced her retirement. She's ending a run on commentary with Impact Wrestling. She's going to go back home, and she explains that decision and why she came to that decision. An exclusive interview. We have that up in our podcast feed right now as well. We also have our Best of the Business series, looking at the best people in wrestling who did great things in 2020 in a pretty challenging year. Scott D'Amore from Impact Wrestling gives us some time in that as well. A lot to get into, a lot of content for you to consume, and a lot more coming up with the Royal Rumble. And we will do, I believe we are going to do it, the Royal Yumble. Do you know about the Royal Yumble, Keith?
No.
The Royal Yumble is our fast food Royal Yumble. where we get all the fast food mascots to fight each other. We're trying to fill out the undercard of we need new mascots to fight each other. I may go to sports mascots to fight each other in a match underneath the big rumble, the big yumble.
Get Benny the Bull out there.
Benny the Bull. What do you do? Benny the Bull versus what? Like the Philadelphia Goofball or something like that? Or,
yeah. What's his name? Gritty?
Yeah. Oh no, we gotta have Gritty. Yeah, I think Gritty. Yeah, I think we could do that. That could be an opener. Throw that one in the main card here. We'll have a bunch of fun goofing around with that the weekend of the Royal Rumble. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Remember, you want to win Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, Elite Action Figures. Follow us on Facebook. Make sure you turn your notifications on. Set your reminders so you know exactly when we go live, and get in the chat. If you've been watching the show and you haven't shared it yet, you don't want to share it on your page because you post too much wrestling stuff and people tell you, stop talking about wrestling. I want to hear about conspiracy theories. All right. Buzz off. All right. You can just share the link with your friends and pass it on to your buddies. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Remember, when watching wrestling, you must